What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati, and as always, I'm joined by the podcast dad under the learning tree.
Thank you. Thank you for the full introduction. But I'm not going to boast about myself today because we have an actual real life wrestler on the show. So let's get into that, and I'm going to be quiet now.
Yes. Very excited for this one today. She is an internationally traveled independent wrestler, has wrestled for Pro Wrestling Noah, and can be seen at Major League Wrestling coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're also really excited about this because she's a fellow Cincinnati native, so please welcome Jazzy Yang to the show. Jazzy, how are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're great. Good. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and glad we finally got to sit down with you. For those that saw us on social media over the last couple of months, we spent some time down at Lariato Pro back in March, and that's how we connected with Jazzy. So it's really, really cool that we were able to talk to somebody who is not only a wrestler, but a fellow Cincinnatian as well. I think you're probably the first one that we've had on the show.
Yeah, from the Nasty Natty. There's not a lot of wrestlers from... Actually, there is kind of a lot of wrestlers from Ohio, but normally they're always from, like, Cleveland or like Columbus.
Yeah,
exactly. From the Natty.
Yeah. But let's get right on into it. Here at the Wrestling Junkies, we look at wrestlers. They are superheroes. They are supervillains that clash, but they all have origin stories. So Jazzy, tell us about some of your earliest memories of pro wrestling.
So some of my earliest memories of pro wrestling. So my dad was like active, like wrestling in the WWE when I was young. So like me, I like kind of grew up around it. Like it was just normal to me, like going to the WWE shows at the US Bank, and like was Mickey James would like watch me in the back. Melina, like my dad would go do his thing, and I would have to go to the girls' locker room because I couldn't go into the dudes. And then I just remember being like scared of CM Punk. Like he was the scariest one to me. I don't know why, because he shaved Serena Deeb's hair, and to me as like a little kid, like that was the scariest thing, to get my head shaved. And then I'm trying to think, the Boogeyman, he caused a lot of nightmares. He still does. When I see him, I'm like, oh no. So like that was my like first experience with it, just being like at that, my dad being at that level, me being behind the scenes and all this stuff. So for me, I looked at the girls as like supermodels, or like I loved it. Like I loved the showmanship of everything, and the wrestling, seeing them kick ass. I loved all that stuff. And then when I turned 15, my dad got the opportunity, or I got the opportunity, like Kaz Hayashi reached out to my dad asking if he wanted to go over there, and he was like, can I bring my daughter? And he was like, yeah, she'll have a spot in the match. She can debut. And my dad was like, what? They're like, do you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, might as well. Like, that sounds cool. Go to Japan and get to debut and everything. So I started training and everything. So I started training at 15 for that, and then did that, and that kind of caught the bug, and I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this forever. Like, and then my dad was like, well, you have to finish high school. And I played a lot of sports. I played basketball, volleyball, softball, and I love basketball. So I wanted to play that for as long as I could. But then I had like a few shows in Ohio. Like my first show in the States was at Bogart's for Future Legends of Wrestling. I think that's the name, something like that. And then I did that. When I came back, my whole basketball team came. It was so fun, especially being at Bogart's, because I went there for a concert before, so it was crazy, like, actually getting to, like, perform there. And then I think, like, maybe a year later, like, 17, I got to do Squared Circle Expo.
Nice.
That was cool in, like, Indiana, and then I graduated, and then we moved down to Atlanta, and I started doing the independents more.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. So father is Jimmy Wang Yang, for those who haven't caught on quite yet.
Forgot
when
about
did
him.
When did you realize kind of what your dad did for a living?
So for me, it was just normal. He was just my dad. Like, that's what we did. And then, but in like elementary school, people would ask for like my dad's autograph and stuff, or he'd come and eat lunch with me, and people would come up, try to get autographs from him. I actually learned how to do his autograph so I could do it, like forge his signature and give it to people. So I realized it, but it wasn't really, it was just like kind of normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's also like the haters, that people that want to just hate on it for whatever. So I always had to deal with that. Like people were like, wrestling's fake, or like come up to you and just always say stuff like that. But
yeah. So, obviously it sounds like your dad's very important as far as, the guidance he provides in your career. What do you guys do to try to maintain not only that, the father-daughter relationship, but also, mentor-mentee as well? And how do you differentiate the two?
He's kind of my coach, like all day, every day. Like anytime we bring up wrestling, we just talk about wrestling. We talk about wrestling a lot. We watch wrestling during the week. He trains like wrestling. He's like trains people on like Wednesdays, Thursdays. So I could do training with him. Then we have to go to the gym every day, eat healthy, do all this. So kind of like my whole life is wrestling with him.
Nice.
So obviously we've touched on it. You're originally from Cincinnati, and we're going to ask this question because who knows the next time we'll have anybody from Cincinnati on. But how do you stay connected to Cincinnati while competing all over the world?
My family lives in Cincinnati. So my mom, my sister, my brother, they all live in Cincinnati. My grandparents. My sister actually just graduated from Lakota East. So
that's
cool.
my neck of the woods. Actually, yeah. I live in Westchester, so it's
really?
right down the street.
Yeah, so I go back like every single holiday to go see them and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Awesome. So as we kind of alluded to at the top of the show, you've competed internationally. You had the opportunity to compete with Pro Wrestling in Noah. Tell us about that experience last year.
Oh, it was great, and it was even cooler because like they don't normally have women on the shows in Pro Wrestling Noah. So like it was cool for me to go out there, and I'm like the first Gaijin woman to compete in Pro Wrestling Noah. So that was cool, and I actually got to train at the dojo. They gave us the key, and I got to do like young boy training with them for like the whole week I was out there, and then getting to the show, meeting the girls that I wrestled, and like just like networking because they're all around Japan. Like, so that was pretty cool. I loved it. I want to go back. I love Japan. So.
So they always talk about how intense that training is. Like, what did that training look like?
It was hot as shit out there. I'll tell you that. No AC, just in the dojo, just sweating like piles of sweat. And then it's like the young boys just, and they do so many squats, so many push-ups. I don't know. I hate push-ups. They do like use the bar to do them. Then they do the neck bridges. And I was thinking the neck bridges is gonna be bad for like it's gonna hurt your neck. No, it hurts your thighs. Like the thighs are the worst, and you're just trying to sit there like this, and they're like, you gotta hold it for 5 minutes. I'm like, what? It was crazy. But yeah, it was fun though. After it's crazy. It's the grind, but like it's worth it.
What would you say is like the big, if there is one, what kind of learning curve when you go over to Japan for the first time to do that style of training compared to how we train here in the States?
So the difference, I would say, like, there's a lot of people like have a lot more respect over there for wrestling because they know everybody goes through that training to get to that level. Like every wrestler there has to go through that type of training to get there. But in the States, it's kind of like, there's a lot of people who like take one bump and they're like, oh, I can wrestle. Mm-hmm. So like this is the difference for me. And everyone's so respectful over there, like says hi to everybody. Like they just respect a lot, and they respect the business a lot.
Very cool.
So when we were down at Larry Pro, we saw you wrestle a match against a young man named Terry Yaki. And we found out later on that there's a little bit more to that story. So, how did you meet him? And then what was that first experience like? And how's that going?
So we met through professional wrestling. I actually met him in LA for or maybe it was Texas, WrestleMania at a GCW show. And he was like, oh, I'm Korean. I was like, what? You're not Korean. I'm Korean. And I told my dad, I was like, Dad, he said he's Korean. He's like, what? No. And then we just started talking after that. Because there's not a lot of Korean wrestlers in the pro wrestling. Like, if you really think about it, there's like my dad, Gail Kim, Michin, me. And that's about it. Yeah. There's like a few on the indie circuit. And then I know one guy that's actually in Korea, Shiho. But you don't find them a lot. So it was like crazy that there was another Korean wrestler, and then we kind of related on that, and then we just started talking from there. then we started dating. So it's my boyfriend. But had to beat him up one time.
Yeah, that's got to make for interesting date nights.
Yeah.
So that was an intergender match. Do you do a lot of intergender matches? And then if so, why is intergender wrestling so important?
I do intergender like tag matches with my dad, but I don't do them that often. Actually, I was supposed to wrestle a girl, but I think they forgot to tell her, or like she forgot to put it in. So like we're there and we're like, where's the girl? And they're like, hour before the show, they're like, oh, she's not showing up. She said she didn't know she was on the show. I was like, what? Who am I gonna wrestle? And there was no other girls there, so I ended up having to beat up my boyfriend. But yeah, but intergender wrestling, it's great. I love wrestling guys. It's very competitive, but also at the same time, I don't know if I never want my boyfriend to like punch me in the face in pro wrestling. So you always got to be careful with that stuff with intergender wrestling, because like the punching in the face, the kicking, and the dude punching, kicking, I don't know, it looks bad sometimes. So I just try to stay away from that in intergender matches.
Makes sense. But also, in the lead up to that show, for your TikTok page, you did kind of a behind the scenes, day of kind of behind the scenes look for that show. Why do you feel it's so important to pull back the curtain for your followers?
I love TikTok. Like I was a COVID like high school person. So like I graduated 2021, so 2020 was all COVID. I lived on TikTok. Loved everything about TikTok. I would see all the day in my life as like professional basketball player, as a nurse, whatever there is, everyone's doing them. Like, but I haven't seen a pro wrestler do it. So I was like, I should do that because that'd be interesting. I feel like that's interesting. Not a lot of people do that, and I feel like it would be entertaining. So then I just started doing them, and then people actually liked them. I was like, oh, snap. I gotta start doing them more often.
Nice. Thinking ahead of the curve. I like it. So you have been invited to the upcoming MLW tapings. How does that feel? How excited are you? And what's the plan for that?
It's great. My dad was like, he did MLW when it first started. So it's kind of cool. Like our lives are kind of similar, kind of the same, like starting so young, going to Japan. Now he started like MLW when it started. Now I'm going to MLW. And it should be cool, but I don't know if I got a title match or not, because I saw there was another title match. But I'm coming for that featherweight champion from Janai Kai, one way or another.
All right. Well, good. We got fighting words already. Good. I'm excited.
So, what's the preparation looking like for this particular debut? Is this kind of is this something that you're going to kind of do things differently, or just kind of take us through your headspace as you're getting ready to debut with a new promotion?
Just like this, I kind of the same as I do normally. I just diet real hard, work out, like wearing the sweatsuit. I wear a sweatsuits to the gym. I try to work out twice a day leading up to a show, at least like a month in advance. And then just training. And then I actually have a show tonight, trying to get prepared, like get as many reps as possible before I get into that.
Okay. Is there any? I know you talked about trying to get that featherweight title, and we here wish you the best of luck in getting that. Are there any names that in particular that you're looking forward to working with?
I really want to work with Janai Kai. We've never actually worked together. We were in like a rumble together, but we've never actually touched or anything. So I really want to wrestle her. That would be great. And then, I really just want to get back to Japan to wrestle anybody I can, everybody there. I really want to just go around the world, wrestle as many people as I can, get as much experience as I can. But
awesome. Well, we have been talking all things Jazzy Yang for just about 15 minutes now. So we are going to hand you the spotlight to shine on some other names. It's 2024. We're about halfway through the year now, and wrestling is probably in the best place it's been in a long time. So who are some names that we should be looking out for in 2024?
The real deal Terry Yaki is one of them. But Shalance Royale, I'm about to wrestle her tonight. I'm going to have to beat her ass, but she's pretty cool. Rose Gold, she's on the Georgia Indies with me. We're best of friends. even though we fight sometimes. She's pretty cool. Janai Kai, I love her. I love Bianca Corelli or Ariana Grace now on NXT. She's killing it. Love her.
Yeah, love her. Love her. Her character is amazing.
I know. I love NXT. I watch NXT more than anything now.
Nice.
All right, so don't let that influence your next question, your next answer, though. But the next question we have is the hardest one you're going to get probably all year.
Okay.
When you think Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels or is it The Undertaker?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so it's like different and different. Probably The Undertaker. He's a really nice guy. I've never met Shawn Michaels, but I've met The Undertaker. He's really cool.
Boom.
So
Boom. Chalk one up for the good guys.
That's okay. Hey, but yeah, no, you know what? Just because I don't know when we're gonna have a Cincinnati native on the show again, so I have to ask this question: Skyline or Gold Star?
Ooh. This is more important than Mr. WrestleMania.
My brother actually works at Skyline.
Nice. Okay.
Their cheese is really better, I think. I think Skyline's got better cheese, but I feel like Gold Star has better chili.
Okay.
But they both hurt my stomach.
Oh no.
That's not good.
But I like Skyline because they also got those funnel fries.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah, probably Skyline.
All right. Okay. Hey, 2 for 2. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, Jazzy, thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad that we were finally able to connect with you. Before we let you go, where can everybody find you on social media? And then just give everybody an overview of what you've got coming up over the next couple of months.
Okay. You can find me on Jazzy Yang on Instagram, Jazzy Wang Yang on Twitter and Facebook, and then my TikToks, Yun Sauce 3, or you can find Jazzy Yang. And I got MLW June 1st in Atlanta, Georgia. I got a Classic City Wrestling. If you don't know about that, that's in Athens, Georgia. Really fun. It's at the 40 Watt Club, like in a college town. So that's really fun for everyone. I think July 20th. And I got some more stuff coming up, but I can't think of it now. Just stay on my socials and you'll find out. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, we can certainly do that. Cannot wait to see what you do next, and best of luck this weekend. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you again to Jazzy Wang Yang for joining us for the podcast Dad Under the Learning Tree. I'm Mr. Cincinnati. This has been the Wrestling Junkies Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.